Departure 682.32, altimeter 3015, NOSIG, departure runway 0.
Hey everyone, Reflected here. Speed and Angels, my F-14 Tomcat campaign with Paco Chierici, was released 2 weeks ago. So let's have a look at the initial feedback it received from the community. The most frequently used word to describe the campaign has been humbling. And I'm very happy because it means Paco and I achieved our purpose: to recreate the F-14 rag as accurately as DCS allows. In my pre-release videos, I did my best to emphasize how this campaign is not a cowboy shooting game that you casually play, but the most realistic Tomcat experience yet that you can find in DCS. Now you know what I was talking about. The first attempts from the community varies a lot. I've seen people who didn't even get a grade on their fan flight because they ran out of gas and crashed the jet before making it back to Nellis. But it's alright, we're all here to practice and get better. You do that by failing and learning from your mistakes. I've also seen some very impressive playthrough videos and great cheats. Someone finished the rag with an above average final grade of 3.6. That's mind-blowing! But remember, anything above 3.0 is a good result and you should be proud of yourself. But in general, people say they love the in-depth instructions and the grading system, and everyone is motivated to get decent results, and I'm proud of you all. Let's have a look at some of the feedback I got. I love the fire hose feel of the instruction. It captures a military flight training program perfectly. When I tried out the first 2 levels last night without reading anything, I felt like a UPT student who didn't study the night before. Brought back memories. This is hands down the best campaign available for DCS. This will test everything you thought you know about the Tomcat, definitely not for beginner pilots, worth double the asking price. Huge fan, just got the Speed and Angels campaign. Your short videos leading up to the release did no justice. I watched the documentary just days before the release. Blew my mind you got Slick and Paco do the voices. Playing as Slick is just next level to me. Anywho, I've got like 60 hours between the F-14A and B. Man, this mission is a pilot maker. Just playing multiplayer and goofing off did not get me ready for this campaign. A huge thanks for the hours of fun I'll be having. Got a few hours on the campaign last night and it is just amazing. I am still in shock that you did not ask for more money for the campaign. I would have gladly paid $30 for the missions. Just finished mission 1. Sorta. I ran out of gas taxiing in. Looks like I also need to work on fuel management. This is unbelievable what you did with the virtual instructor talking you through the maneuvers. So far, there has literally been no bugs or issues. I felt like a student pilot again doing my steep turns and chandelles, haha. In all honesty, it was bringing back stressful memories, haha. Bought it as soon as it came online. Damn, that's hard to do correctly on the numbers, and that's why I love it so much. I bought a number of campaigns for different modules over time, but this is in a class of its own. Love the Rio support, the whiteboard, and the in-flight option, F10, to repeat the exercise or move on. This is so good. The longer I spend in it, the more I enjoy it. After every session, I feel like I have a better idea of how things were done. Still can't make a level 360 to save my life. One day, I would love to see an aggressor campaign for the F5 with Paco and the Saints. Lovely so far. Got whacked with an onset, practiced for 3 days, then got my formation up to average. Never been so happy, LOL. It goes without saying that Reflected and Paco have created a unique and phenomenal experience for DCS, unlike anything that has come before. I have never concentrated or worked so hard simply to fly information, and Nellis has never felt so alive. And lastly, there are 3 pieces of advice that someone wrote on the forums in order to help others be successful at the rag. I couldn't have said it better. 1. Always read the brief. Even for the bits you think you know inside out. Just because you have done something in DCS countless times doesn't mean you know how to do it properly. Make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. Don't wing it. 2. Task saturation sneaks up really quickly, and it's amazing how quickly a couple of small things can build up and how it affects your ability to listen and make decisions. Knowing what you have to do before you start helps you with this. Be more aggressive on hitting the numbers early to give yourself time to ease into the rest. 3. Know when you're behind. It's really hard to catch back up when it starts going wrong, but it's dead easy to make it worse. All this is so true. There's a lot of new information and a lot of things to pay attention to simultaneously. Task saturation, as he said. And we're just average people, flight simmers, not the elite 0.0001% selected for Tomcat training. You need to grasp the magnitude of the challenge and approach it accordingly, with humility, attention to details, and a willingness to learn. Bottom line is, to successfully complete this campaign, it's not about how good you already are in the Tomcat. Hey, it's a Tomcat training. It's about how much you can pay attention to the details and how disciplined you are to follow the instructions to the letter, just like in real life. To be honest, about 90% of the bug reports I received came down to one thing. The player didn't do what was asked of them. Don't get me wrong, it's very easy to let something important slip or misunderstand a tiny but important detail. But when it comes to mission making, this is the rule of thumb. The more stuff you want to happen in a short period of time, the less wiggle room you can allow the player, and the more accurately they need to fly the mission in order to make the triggers work. And in this campaign, as you see now, a lot of things happen in a very short amount of time. Instructions, checkpoints, you name it. For example, I can't dynamically change the length of Paco's instructions in case the player decides to rush ahead. They're sound files. Or I can make a snapshot drill work, both if the player pulls 5G turns or 1.5G turns. You get the idea. Therefore, take your time and read those briefing PDF files before the mission. Pay attention to every word Paco says, and if you think you missed something, you can always pause and check the message history. Never assume. I also included on-screen messages highlighting the most important things you should or shouldn't do in order to make it work. If you ignore any of it, the mission may not work as intended. And I've seen some of these messages being blatantly ignored in some playthrough videos. I'm also seeing some, lawyer pilots. People trying to reason that their bad grade is because of AI behavior or inaccurate triggers, or they're asking for the exact conditions to be met in order to game the game. Listen, there's only one rule. Do as briefed. That's it. Also, believe me, if anyone, I'm deeply familiar with all the idiosyncrasies of the DCS AI and every way they can be erratic and unreliable. Therefore, I set up the grading checkpoints to make sure your result is solely dependent on your performance, and no AI glitches can potentially affect that. As I said in my previous video, either accept the grade and move on, or repeat the task and listen to the briefing more carefully. You should ask Paco, but I don't think a lot of students went to their instructors to complain about the grade they got. I got some very good suggestions too. The playthrough videos are extremely helpful. I fixed a number of bugs to make the missions go smoother, and I also fixed some typos. I'll submit these for the next patch. There's one bug I couldn't fix though. Currently, when this video was made, the DCS AI sometimes ignores the stop flag, so when it should stop a certain activity, like following a tanker for example. This happens for some users only, not everyone, and not always, not consistently. Weird. I've reported this to ED. I really hope they will fix it soon. It worked fine during the testing phase, and there's nothing I can do about it in the mission editor. Fortunately, it only breaks the immersion, not the mission. Should it happen, you can still RTB alone and successfully complete the mission. Also, I've seen a few anomalies that turned out to be caused by unofficial mods, modules or assets being installed. I wasn't kidding in my previous video. Now, some of you are approaching the end of the reg and soon going on deployment. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your experience as a member of the Black Lions, fighting the Chinese over the Marianas. Please share your screenshots, experience, grade sheets, video playthroughs. They're the best reward I can ask for. And let me know if you get stuck or have any questions. Best of luck to you all for the remainder of the campaign, and thank you so much for all the positive and constructive feedback. Make sure you subscribe for further campaign updates. There are a lot of things coming this year. See ya!
Gunfighters, check. 2. Blackjack, Gunfighter 1-1, flight. Fire approaching Nixon for dog bone, checking in as flagged. Gunfighter 1-1, Blackjack, cleared direct dog bone, cleared at the range from now until 1000 local. Contact Blackjack when ready for RTB. Traffic 60 miles to the northwest, 2 ACMs returning from the range. Gunfighter 1-1, Wilco. We'll keep an eye out for traffic.